Anyone trying to work out what they think about accelerationism better do so quickly. That's the nature of the thing. Among its predictions is the expectation that you'll be too slow to deal with it coherently. Yet if you fumbled the question it poses, because rushed, you lose, perhaps very badly.
The other day, my expat friend sent me a message on Instagram. He said, "Maya, have you ever heard of accelerationism?" And I said that I hadn't. So I went and I looked it up. Oh boy, I wish I hadn't. Anyway, since it's in my head, it's about to be in yours. Accelerationism may very well be the most important topic you've never heard of. We're kind of living in it right now. To sum it up very briefly, accelerationism is the belief that in order to fix our current system, we need to push through to its inevitable end. It's kind of an apocalypse cult. There are accelerationists on the left and the right. Both extremes are using this ideology to further their beliefs. You might say, why is this so important if it just involves the extremes? What does this have to do with me? Well, unfortunately, it has everything to do with all of us. I'm sure you remember the 2016 election, where a lot of the argument for letting Trump win or for voting for Trump was everything's broken. Might as well make it obvious to everybody. This is an accelerationist principle. There are accelerationists on both the left and the right. They want the same end, which is the collapse of our current system. And they both believe that on the other side of this collapse is something better, which is like believing that on the other side of suicide, there is paradise. I don't know if you should live your life by that or end your life by that. That's a pretty dumb proposition if you ask me. But I digress. Accelerationism as a term was first used in a sci-fi novel called The Lord of Light. The accelerationist term was actually borrowed from the book by a critic of the movement, Mr. Benjamin Noyes. So on the left, we have Marxists believing that if you accelerate the process of capitalism, it will come to its inevitable end. Marx predicted this in The Grundrisse, in his section on the machines. The Grundrisse is a very long book. I was not expecting it to be this long. As you may know, the Communist Manifesto is very short. It's a glorified pamphlet. So when I saw the Grundrisse, I said, oh, let me read this. No, let me read a section of this. Anyway, the left posits that if we accelerate the process of capitalism, it will lead to its decay and its end. The far right has also adopted accelerationism.
We're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're the ones who tear it down. We aren't necessarily the ones who are going to build it back up. Be great if we are. Be great if we could do it in that time frame. But it's got to be torn down. This whole neoliberal facade that we're all walking around in has got to be torn down. It has got to be destroyed.
Their problem is not so much with capitalism, but with capitalist democracy. They don't like the democracy part of it. In fact, the founder, Nick Land, who apparently is a brilliant philosopher, I don't know how much experience he has in the real world, but he's a brilliant philosopher. He started on the left and sort of moved his way right. And they don't believe people are capable of governing themselves. And so they believe if you let it run its course and we give people everything that they want, it will become obvious that they are not capable of governing themselves. Now you may say to yourself, Maya, that sounds very high-minded and academic. It sure does. This was a problem with a lot of the reading for me. And I don't have a problem with that sort of academese writing. I'll bring a dictionary, I'll look it up, I'll figure it out. However, what worries me is that this high-minded ideology is making its way out of academia and into the public sphere. The New Zealand mosque shooter was an adherent of accelerationism. We've seen some accelerationist attacks in 2020. There is a violent wing of the far right that wants to implement accelerationism on the country and is currently performing terrorist acts to bring about the race war, the ethno-state. I resent all of my white friends who are gonna, on the sly, go and live in the ethno-state should the accelerationists win. Closet racists. Ugh, the ethno-state. The ethno-state is the dumbest idea. Even Nick Land, the founder of this movement, thinks it's a very dumb idea. What are you gonna do in an ethno-state? Do you really think that just because everyone around you looks like you, they will be any less annoying or bother you any less? They won't. They won't. Your ethno-state will be cool for about 6 months. Max 6 months. And then after that, everyone's going to start bothering you for different reasons entirely. And you're going to think, man, I thought moving to an ethno-state would mean that I love everybody. No, it doesn't. And of course, these summer's protests have given them ample opportunity to hide and to perform these actions. The far left? Well, they believe that capitalism is the problem, it's not the democracy, and that if we allow capitalism to run its course, the people will see that the oligarchs have become corrupt and fat, while everybody else is starving, and this will lead to revolution as well. We see this going on right now. Jeff Bezos is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The tech billionaires have gotten very rich, while half the country is either unemployed or at risk of losing their jobs. So we do see how capitalism is starting to fail us. My friend Marcia has the funniest joke. She's a little older, and she says, time is like toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. It's funny. It's an old lady joke, but I always got a little chuckle out of it. Think of capitalism as the toilet paper in this situation. And if we are in the late stages of capitalism, then things are moving faster. Just naturally so. Things are accelerating, just naturally so. Now, this is very difficult because the same philosophical principle is being used by both sides, and the arguments are very similar on both sides. How much of this is from organized accelerationists, and how much of this is the natural process? Well, adherents of accelerationism are very active online. And I wouldn't say that they recruit others, but of course, online is a place to spread the ideas and influence other people into believing those ideas. It can be done through memes, it can be done through jokes, it can be done in the comment section, it can be done by posting articles, but this is just how it is. And the natural process of online mixed with capitalism, which mixed with the democratic process, has kind of sped up these things. They're all kind of feeding on each other. I feel we've kind of gotten stuck in this loop. The wheels are just turning faster and faster and faster and faster. The brakes are off. And we're sort of seeing the results of accelerationism at work. And it is kind of scary. So we may all kind of be accelerationists in this way because we hear this philosophy and we think, oh, actually, that sounds pretty good. Oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Now, how much of this is organic to the zeitgeist and how much is implanted by accelerationist thinkers who want to spread their ideology? I don't know. Never underestimate how easy it is for a few web-savvy zealots to spread their ideology. We've seen it manifest in so many different ways. Propaganda machine. I'm not sure how much of what we're seeing in our society is a result of a deliberate propaganda campaign and how much of it is just people being observant of what's going on around them. In doing this research, I was surprised by how academic it was, how high-minded it all was. And when you read something that is not a science and is academic and high-minded, you got to think, how much of this is actually applicable to the real world? I hate to break it to you, but a lot of academics don't do things outside of academia. They haven't gotten anything done in the world. They wouldn't be able to get your water running. Now, the engineers absolutely would. The engineers, wonderful, useful people, a great department. That is a department you need no matter what. But the liberal arts, I love the liberal arts. I was a liberal arts major, history, sociology. Shout out to the liberal arts. But what can they get done? Not writing a book. Writing a book, fine. Of course they can write books. Because if you take down society, if you see it through to its eventual collapse, do you know how much effort it's going to take to rebuild it? Do you know how much effort things take? So a lot of time people don't even understand the amount of effort that goes into our daily lives. Because we're here, the Amazon truck comes, it gives us whatever products we've ordered. We can order off of Grubhub and get our food. This is nothing. We think that the amount of effort it takes to get things done is simply picking up our phone and boop, 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 typing things in. No, that's not true. It takes so many man hours to get you your sandwich. Do you know how much effort it takes to grow wheat? To fucking milk a cow? I'm not milking a cow for cheese. I don't know why anybody who isn't Amish or hasn't been living off the land their entire life could be a fan of accelerationism. I know how long a 14-hour day is, and I don't want to do that every day for the rest of my life to hard scrabble together a small fraction of the quality of life I have right now. There is no utopia. There's nothing on the other side. I don't know why anybody thinks that they're just going to knock it all down and somehow there's just going to be roses that bloom in its place. I'm like, no. First off, who says that Western civilization is going to collapse? Even that is looking at things with an undeserved optimism. Why would anything collapse? Western civilization could weakly trudge along for hundreds of years, just limping along like a mean old lion that's too old to breed, but won't let anybody else breed either. It could go on for hundreds of years, many lifetimes. And that there are people out there that think that we're at the end of some sad journey and we're on the precipice of another wonderful adventure. There's no epic adventure on the other side. It's just more swamp. I've always wondered that if we didn't have all the food we needed and all the amenities we have, would we still be as nice? So to think that we're even going to come to the other side of Western civilization and be the people we are now is hopelessly optimistic. It's such a lazy and such a juvenile idea, like live fast and die young as a civilization. Oh, look at the wear and tear. Well, throw it away. It's over. Ugh, there's a gray hair. It's over for me. Let me just drink whiskey all day and smoke cigarettes until I die. Like, stop it. Drink a beet juice. It tastes like dirt, but it's good for you. And get up and see if you can be a civilization again. So the next time somebody online or in person tells you that the only way out of our problems is through them, you ask them what they see on the other side. Subscribe.